Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the weekend preview. The weekend preview is back. It was absent last week. I was pretty flat chat, and even when I'm pretty busy I normally get a chance to do it, but I just ran out of time, and to be fair, there didn't seem to be too much going on in the SuperCoach world other than the ordinary. But look, this week we got Nat Fyfe. It's pretty crucial. What the hell are we going to do with the champ? You know, he's out for, what is it, a month was the last thing I heard. Heaney's also missing this week. I'm recording this before the teams. I'm on the drive home getting ready to watch the Cats, so I'll look to upload this hopefully at some stage within the Cats game or after it. But clearly it's a big issue to attend to, particularly Fyfe. I mean, Heaney, concussion, look, 1 week, hopefully not 2, but he'll be back soon enough, so you hold on to him. Fyfe is the main one. I mean, just about every man and his dog has him. If you don't have him, then you're really not taking it too seriously. Everyone's got him. It's a real bugger. I had him as my captain. Super frustrating. I looked at my VC. Do I go Tom Mitchell? Do I put it on Paddy Dangerfield? And for no real reason, I just put it on Paddy. I just thought, against the Dogs, thought he might, be in for a big one. It's far simpler to just swap it over after the Friday night rather than having to worry about it when I was out and about. And there was 2 10 games on and 4:30. It's just easy to swap it over on a Friday night. Went Dangerfield, scored 118. Nearly convinced me. Went with Fyfe, and he scored me 40 odd or whatever it was. So it's a double whammy too. I mean, he scores poorly and then is out for an extended period of time and falls in value. So it does hurt. So he's fallen in price a little bit, which makes a little bit tricky because we don't have as much coin to play with as maybe we would like. But who should we get in? That's the main question. Who do we need to get in? Now, look, I could obviously say the obvious, the Tom Mitchell, the Cripps, etc., but I'm sure you've all got those sort of guys. So maybe some guys that we don't have. And I think the clear standout is Josh Kelly. He's really started to motor and look good. He's capable of 140 plus scores. He's produced a few of those in the last couple of weeks. And he's not the sort of guy to have too many poor weeks. Look at him last year. I think he went under 90 once. Look at him this year. I remember I started with him this season, and even when he was having a poor game, might have been round 2. He was tagged out of it possession-wise. I think it might have been against Collingwood. Wasn't having a great day, but still found a way to score about 90-something because he laid about 10 or 11 tackles. That's the sort of player we really like. You're not always going to be playing your best footy or in the best 5 players, but the premiums, the super premiums, always find a way to get above your 90 and not hurt you too much. So I think he's reasonably priced. He's expensive, but he's not through the roof. So I think he's the sort of guy that not too many would have, given he missed a fair bit of footy with injury. And we know he's a Rolls Royce, he's a jet. He did it last year, he'll do it again this year, continue to churn out big scores. So he'd be the one for me. Unfortunately, in my circumstance, I'm a bit controlled by what I want to do elsewhere. And I often talk about trades not always being decided by exactly what you want to do, but what the team and overall structure allows you to do. In a perfect world, I'd bring in Josh Kelly, but the fact is I've got Guelphy, who's got a break even of 79, most likely will drop, certainly not much more money to make. So I really need to get rid of him. And in terms of who I'm going to in the forward line, by the way, I'm still racking my brain as to who is the next best forward to get. I look at Westhoff and I just can't trust him, but I've been saying that for 5 or 6 weeks and he keeps playing good footy. Franklin, I just think it's too much of a roller coaster. I'm just not sold on it. I'd love to have Toby Green if he was fit. I was hoping he'd be back maybe a couple of weeks ago, fall in price a bit, get him in for the second half of the year. That hasn't happened. So I'm looking at Sam Meningola. Now, he's a bit of a roller coaster too at times. He can be a bit of your 130 or 70, no duck or all dinner or whatever the bloody saying is. And look, he ends up averaging 95 to 100 more often than not. But it does come in the form of 120 and then an 80. But looking at the other options, and feel free to comment, I'm racking my brain at the moment. But that leads me to my whole point, is the fact that Meningola is, he's priced at 472. More or less, I need to find 170k. Even if I went at Westhoff, I'd have to find 200k. The fact is, if I went Fyfe to Kelly, I'd be left with 158k. So makes it a little bit tricky, a little bit awkward. So basically, by way of what I want to do in the forward line, my midfield selection is influenced. So that left me having a bit of a look around. And I think for people out there, you know, those types, if you do need to find a little bit more coin elsewhere, and Matt Crouch is still reasonably priced. Zach Merritt, he's a bit of barometer for the Bombers. I think he's come into some really good form. Clayton Oliver is a guy I'm looking at. Now, obviously he's got a huge break even of 160 odd. In the perfect world, you would get him probably next week or the week after, because he's coming off a really poor score and the D's are in a poor run of form. So I will have to look at it a little closer when I get home. But he does seem like the main one I'm looking at. Andrew Gaff might be another. Sean Higgins might be another. Now, Shawnee Higgins is in Brownlow medal form. Is it sceptical of me to think that all of a sudden he's being talked as a Brownlow medalist? All of a sudden, you know, North are in the hunt for the top 8. Is he going to cop some attention? You know, why haven't they tagged him already? You know what I mean? I've just got this vibe that Higgins can be tagged out of the game. Maybe could you mount the same argument for Clayton Oliver, because it has happened. But I'm going to have a look at it. But I really do think Josh Kelly is your man. If you want to look a little bit cheaper or have some money in the kitty for later in the season, then, because it's not a bad thing to have money in the kitty, because early on, not an issue. You've got trades to play with, money getting made on your bench. But it can come down to the point where you don't always want to be downgrading to get to an upgrade or get to someone else. So, you know, to have even just 50k in the bank can be really helpful. You know, I'm not saying, you know, don't get Kelly if it only leaves you with $1,000, but I'm just saying if there's an option there, it's not the worst thing, because there will be times later in the year where a guy gets injured, we only want to, and probably can only afford to do one trade, and you can't reach any more than 20k. It can be limiting. Again, don't make that control your whole thought process, but it could be a happy thing that does turn out. So I will have to take a look at it and assess it how I want to turn out my team. I really do like Clayton Oliver. I think he's one of the best inside mids in the competition. The D's are in a bit of a slump. You know, maybe it's coincided with him. I think he was tagged by Steele last week. Seemed to get under his collar a bit and really frustrate him. Something he's going to have to work through, I suppose, but I'm going to have to hit the drawing board, take a look when I get home. By the time I get home, I'll probably only have the best part of 20 minutes to work with if I want to bring Meningol into my side. Potentially, I'll just bring him in and then have a think about what I want to do with Fyfe over the rest of the night. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Obviously, it's a fairly pressing issue with Fyfe. In these latter stages of the season, there's not always a lot to talk about, to be fair, because most of us have our teams set, and there's not always a lot of players to be looking at because we're not making many trades. And it's funny, you know, we're really starting to heat up to the footy season, the finals, but you know, football season, the actual AFL, is definitely March to September, where SuperCoach season, I really feel as if it's almost November to May or December to May. It's definitely, a lot of people fall off the radar, and even if you don't fall off the radar, there's just not that much more you can do. There's not much more you can actually change to your side. By now, most of us have been dealt the cards we have been dealt, and you just hope that if they're not in form already, that they catch fire, and you hope if they are in form, they stay injury-free and keep doing it. So it's one of those funny things. You pretty much got to enjoy the ride. But I had a average score last week. I had a very good score. If I had picked a good captain, everyone scored pretty well. So I'm fairly confident about having a fairly good week again. Hopefully I can get up in draft too. And if you're listening to this, Dan O'Halloran, I will be back and I will knock you off in the grand final. You probably haven't stuck around to the end of this video, but if you have, I'm coming for you, Dan. Anyway, shorty out. I'll talk to you later. Cheers.